What's going on, YouTube? This is MKM Still Stacking, and this is my absolute first YouTube video ever. Which is kind of strange because I've been on YouTube since 2011, and I've been stacking even about a year or so before that. So why it took me so long to actually upload a video? Well, I don't really have a good excuse, but I can say that it has taken me this long to get a halfway decent camera that would allow me to take a decent enough video to actually have something to upload. So that'll be my excuse for now, and I'm sticking to it. But anyways, another thing is, just yesterday I went to my LCS and I picked up a couple coins, and so I figured, what better time than to do your first video than after you've gone to the LCS. So here they are. They're just pretty much the guy at shop puts them in this envelope. It's a very typical process that I go through when I go there. And let's see what I got. Oops. I have here all 90% halves, and I've got pretty much $10 worth. Now, I'm a huge fan of the Franklins, so I asked the guy if he could give me all Franklins, and he said sure, at no additional charge. And however, when I counted them all up, I noticed that one was a little bit sort of squished on the edge, so I asked him if he could replace it, and he said sure. So, but when he went to replace it, he realized he was out of Franklin, so he asked me if what else would I like, and I told him, well, that Kennedy over there that looks real nice would do fine, and so he threw that in. So, so as you can see, the Franklins are in a little bit worse, less pristine shape, but the Kennedy is in really nice shape. You can just get a up close shot of that. But anyways, and again, if I didn't mention it before, I bought $10 worth. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 20 francs, or 19 francs in one Kennedy. It's $10 face, and I'm pretty happy. Now, I'll do videos in the future, and talk a little bit more about myself as time goes on. But one of the things about me is that I'm very much a numbers geek. So I pretty much, that's what I do for a living. That's what I've done mainly all my professional life, is crunch numbers. So what I like to do when I get back from the LCS is, play around with the numbers. I like to weigh up my coins, compute the metal content and all that jazz. So got my handy dandy basic digital scale that I got off eBay for dirt cheap, and I like to weight things in grams, so I set my scale to grams, and I like to weigh up my 90% coins especially, but I weigh up all my coins. Sometimes I even take my scale with me to the LCS, which can be kind of weird at times. But and I don't know if you can get a read out of this. You probably can't, but this is 249.9 grams is what this roll weighs out to be. So 249.9. Now, a lot of people say, well, no, let's go with 249.8. It just sort of moved on me. Now, a lot of people say, well, why don't you measure in troy ounces? And I say, because I'm just so precise. I like to be so precise about it and play around with the numbers that, I prefer something a little bit more exact. But troy ounces are fine too. I mean, it's all about ounces, right? When it's all said and done. So, anyways, so let me put away my scale here. But so anyways, that's one thing I like to do is I like to weigh them up, make sure I got enough metal content for what I paid. And then what I do is I like to go to the Coinflation website. This is a site I've been going to for years, and I'm sure a lot of you guys use Coinflation out there. If I'm not mistaken, I've heard other stackers mention Coinflation in their videos. But Coinflation gives you all the breakdown of all the different both American and Canadian silver coins out there, as well as copper coins or clad coins or anything that the metal composition of the most of the coins that are out there that have been minted throughout U.S. and Canadian history. So per Coinflation, if you can get this on camera, there are 12.5 grams. A single 90% half weighs 12.5 grams, and that's in total weight. That's silver and non-silver metal. And there's 31 point. You can get this anywhere. This doesn't. You don't have to necessarily get this particular figure off of Coinflation, but there's 31.1 grams in a troy ounce. So if you take, as you saw, I purchased $10. So if you take, well, let's just compute $1. If you take two 90% halves times 12.5 times 90%, you get 22.5 grams of silver per $1 face. So for every two 90% halves you have $1 face value, and so in theory you should have 22.5 grams of silver. Now you might ask, well, what's the significance of that? Well, if we know that there's 31.1 grams in a troy ounce, we know all we got to do is take 22.5 and divide it by 31.1, and you get 0.72347 troy ounces of silver per $1 face. So if you've got two coins and they haven't been worn down, so they're uncirculated, brilliant uncirculated, or proof, they should weigh, they should give you about 0.72347 ounces of silver. And now if you want to take that and go by, compute that, crunch that out to an entire roll, then what you would say is, if you take the total weight that we started with, which was 12.5 before we applied the 90%, and you multiply that times 20, then you'll get 250 grams. And of course, let me grab my calculator over here. If you multiply 250 grams times 90%, then you get 225 grams of silver, grams of AG, in an entire roll. So 225 grams in a theoretical roll of silver, 250 grams of total weight, total metal weight. Or if you want to go with the figure that we just crunched, and we said that per $1 face you should have 0.72347 ounces of silver per $1 face, then of course for a $10 roll you're going to have 7.2347 ounces, troy ounces. So, and all these figures are on Coinflation. In fact, you don't even have to do the math. Coinflation, you just basically plop in. It pulls the current day spot price, and it'll compute the value of any number of coins that you'd like, the monetary value, or it'll compute the metal content, the silver metal content, if you want that as well. So all these figures are there. But what I wanted to talk about just real quickly is whether or not I actually got a good deal yesterday. I paid, and this may be surprising to a lot of you, I paid $21.90 times face for these coins, which obviously that's a little bit more than spot, and I'll tell you exactly how much more than spot that is. So if you want to figure out how much $21.90 is in relation to spot, all you really need to do is you take $21.90 and divide it by 0.72347, and again that's how much in troy ounces of silver you get per $1 face. So if you take $21.90 and divide it by 0.72347, you get 30.27. So if spot was at 28.85 when I walked into the LCS, you subtract spot from the 30.27, and you get $1.42. So essentially, I paid $1.42 over spot for 90% halves, a roll of a roll of 90% halves. So I'm wondering if that was a halfway decent deal. I mean, I've heard Silver Fish VT say that he regularly pays just spot price for 90%, and so that's very surprising to me. And if you are able to get that Silverfish, that's a great deal. I guess I haven't been able to get that from my LCS for a while. I used to get that. I used to get pretty darn close, within a quarter or so, or 20 cents of spot. But now, lately, I'd say the last month or so, the premiums have tightened up quite a bit for 90% at the shop I go to. Now, granted, I rarely get coins that aren't close to uncirculated grade. So, I guess the term 90% junk, which means pretty much circulated 90%, I typically get ones that are close to being uncirculated. So I don't know if that factors into it. I don't think it really does. I just think that in my part of the country, or in my state, I live in the Detroit metro area, I think the premiums have tightened up for 90%. The guys at my LCS tell me that they base their price on the prices of other coin shops in the area, and they've got a database that they can go into and see what their competitors are pricing out 90% for, and they contend to me that they're pretty competitive, and they've even told me at one time, they've gone as far as to say, now they don't tell me everything, but they've gone as far as to say that there are at least 100 other coin shops in the area that are in their database, which I kind of find that hard to believe, but that's what they tell me, because they tell me they use some sort of regional coin association database to base their pricing on. If you guys out there know anything about that, let me know. But so the bottom line here is I paid essentially $30.27 per ounce for my 90%, when spot was $28.85. You guys let me know if that was a little bit high or about right or a little low, and that's about it. Thanks for watching, guys, and keep stacking out there.